February 3rd, 2020, I met up with Klown to go to Grace Cemetery in Francisville, Louisiana, or St. Francisville, Louisiana. And there were quite a bunch of experiences that we could not catch on camera. So I want to give a walkthrough on what happened that was not caught. When we first got there, obviously we were walking through a cemetery, so there's a bunch of dead people. Like, hey, how you doing? Normal human past spirits, just, you know, kind of wanting to say hello, and they kind of always know what I am or what I can do, so they were like, hey. But I was following Klown, so he took me to this particular area that is known to not have very good vibes. The story is there's a warlock. We know warlock is witch, just a male. Basically, it's a conjurer of some sort. Now, I was new to this area, and I usually do a more thorough investigation type of deal, so it's kind of a learning process, and especially when you join up with other people and see how they do things and stuff like that. The first thing I noticed walking up prior to the area that we were going to was the guy standing under the tree in a cloak. Now, yeah, I know I'm a facts kind of person, so I cannot make a judgment call on his, title or whatever, but I can tell you that he was definitely in a higher order in some kind of organization. Does feel more of a belief system, so religion, lifestyle, whatever. And he was like, kind of like, well, y'all back again. Apparently, there's a lot of people that go back there. It did look like somebody was leaving trash and whatnot around. So I think a few people probably go back there and fiddle fart around. Now, while Klown was doing the spirit session, I did sense and feel that we were being watched, which is in one of those the still shot picture, because I'm moving the camera too fast for you to really see it. But as you slow down, and sometimes when you take screenshots, you can catch things that your eye can't see when it's moving too fast. And there are two, what looks like eyes. They're very light, kind of hovering above the tree line. On this particular thing, when I've seen it, which obviously I didn't see it till I got back home, I tried to do the whole debunking. Okay, there's a bunch of street lights. They're pretty bright though. Could they be that? The streetlights were kind of up on a hill, so they should be lower in the tree line, not kind of hovering right above us. And if it's a street light, it should be behind the tree line, not in the front of the tree line where we're at. So I'm like, okay, that's weird on that factor. Then when I move the camera around, and I noticed that the light, the rays aren't being disturbed by like leaves, branches, things that would affect like when you move around for the streetlights, which you'll see in other parts of the video. And they're pretty bright. and they do kind of go side by side. Some of them more by the portal, but you can tell when I move the camera, like the light flickers, the light changes. One of them, the light like disappears, as a movement. But these particular two orbs, I, I know their eyes, they're staring at us, but they stay at a steady, dim, kind of just barely able to see into this world. They're above the tree line, like kind of higher than humans can go, stand. And they're in front, which means they're in the general area that we are. That's pretty interesting. So I knew we were being watched. I just couldn't make out exactly what it was that was watching us because there was a lot of things going on. I did see some other entities, a big dog type figure. It was just kind of watching guardian. It could have been a guardian of some sort. It could have been the land white there. It could have been, I didn't, like I said, have a thorough investigation of everything that we came across in this particular thing. So, we did our thing there, and then we moved to a different spot, which we went through this concrete doorway looking thing. Oh, let me back up and mention, like, there are a crap load of ancients there. Those big oak trees and stuff. The ancient energy there, right? Like, that's probably their gatekeepers and guardians of that area because there's actually quite a few of them. So, they were beautiful too. Then the portal area we went through, and it is true when you walk through, you'll start getting tingles all up in your head, and it covers it'll seep through your whole body, and it's almost like being drunk. So it wasn't like a tingle scary high. It was more like a tingle like, oh, I've had a few beers, feeling pretty good. We know Fae kind of have that effect if you walk inside their circles. Kind of how they kidnap people, but we're not getting in that lore. Anyway, so that was pretty interesting to walk through there. Now, when we left out of there and we noticed the wind chime and we started talking to the little boy spirit, you do notice that I had like different names and stuff coming through than the spirit box. Well, first of all, we're in a cemetery, and there's a whole lot of dead people there that want to talk, that can talk. So I could have had different spirits trying to communicate with me while Klown was communicating with other spirits. I do know, though, the scariest moment in that whole ordeal was when we knew that something was coming and they put the light up, that big old light that he has. And by the portal area, on the side, there's a big oak tree kind of behind the cemetery. There's a kind of an open land a little bit. There's a nice tree there. I seen this creature. I'm going to tell you what it looked like, what I seen. Now, it was looking straight at me. I mean, we eye locked, so it knew exactly what I was and what was around me, because my dragon guardians and stuff. And I have a feeling I know what it was, but I would need more investigating time to collect enough evidence and information to be solid. But this thing was humanoid. I mean, it almost looked like the Lord of the Rings, the little guy with the ring. Um, I can't think of his name offhand, but it was taller. It's like its skin was like it's been in the water, mucky and shriveled and wrinkled all right here. Had a gray outtune to me, kind of longer ears. Uh, its hair was just almost like it was balling, but it was long and it was stringy, and you could kind of see its rib cage when in its body. I did not get to see the legs, the hands, pretty long, you know, not manicured, because it was had one of its hands on the tree as it was looking at me, and I was like, my physical body kind of had a little like fear factor going there, like, oh wow, okay, and that manifests like he is strong here, but he had a shocked face, like look on his face too. I don't know. I get that. I have that effect on spirits and living a lot. I don't know why, but um, and not many people I guess see dragons. It's thing. Um, Now Clown says he's seen the same thing, but he had a different description of what he's seen, different colors, stuff like that. It's not uncommon for entities to have different appearances for individuals, for whatever reason. It could make me see it one way and you can see it a whole different, it's kind of like a fun game of like, do you really see me or are you going crazy? We don't know. you know they like to play tricks like that. So, you know what's their true form? It takes a little more than a few minutes of glancing at it to really know and research it, but that was pretty intense right there. And obviously didn't catch it on camera because the cameras can't catch that far in the dark when it's, yeah, I know that problem. So I was like, well, obviously, whatever it is watching us, knows that we're here, and does not probably want us to really, you know, be here. And then other things started happening, and more spirits started coming. So Clown decided it was getting a little too dangerous for us to be there. Um, so we decided we were going to go ahead and leave that cemetery, and we actually took a little break, and then we headed to the school. The school, y'all. I need y'all to really pay attention to when that thing comes up and says, I think it's 28 seconds. At 21 seconds, start paying attention to the bottom of the screen. Something flies through it. Quick. It's quick. And at 28 seconds, you hear the banshee scream. Now, I'm calling it a banshee scream. It actually did it twice in two different locations, probably within 5-10 minutes apart. So this was the loudest and the closest that the cameras actually picked up. We did hear it before then, but it's so faint that I don't think it will show up on, if I put it on the video. You'll just hear the electricity, like, that electricity sound because they have that, like, lights and stuff right there. It kind of overshadows the actual sound that we're looking for. But you can clearly hear it in this one. So why do I call it the banshee? Or a banshee is kind of like a woman in white. They both have a lot of sorrow. They both grieving and just horrific pain, emotionally, mentally. Like they are gone. They are destroyed. That's all they feel. And it's just crazy. I almost kind of feel sorry for them, but at the same time, there can be pretty dangerous entities because they're not in the right state of mind. And they literally are just excruciating pain mourning, and they can lash out because who wants to be messed with when they're, upset, mad, mourning, just emotions running. I mean, they can be pretty dangerous because they don't know, like, they're not really conscious of, like, I'm going to hurt you now because of whatever reason. I mean, hell, all we know is they could think you're the reason why their family or loved one died. I mean, the world is the enemy, you know? So that was probably the big highlight of the night. And that also was our song to dip out. Like, I'm not trying to, I think there's a bunch of lures, you hear one. I mean, both of them, kind of like the Banshee and the A Woman in White. Like, you hear her, somebody's going to die. You see them, guess what? Hello, it's you. So, you know, I don't really believe in a lot of these lures, like in that factor, but I'm not trying to mess with her or mess with any entity that obviously wants to come, and it gave us a warning. So I mean, it's not like it just started messing with us. It was like, hey, I'm here, you hear me. you know I did get a glimpse of a woman, brown hair. She did was wearing white, so could have been just a woman in white, but they're kind of the same. But then that scream, mm, uh I'm not sure exactly which kind of woman you are, Banshee or Woman in White. So we're I'm gonna just leave you alone. you know, but that is pretty interesting. I don't know. Yeah, give me your thoughts on it. So, because yeah, some of the stuff I'm not sure if I didn't have time to set up a bunch of cameras and really bead in to one specific entity. I mean, there was a lot there. Like, well, there was a lot at the cemetery, like a lot. I mean, I would have had to been taking appointments and being there for hours to get through all those spirits and stuff there. But the school, it was pretty quiet. Oh, when I first got there, I forgot to add this. And before we could set the cameras up, literally, like, I grabbed my laptop camera and I was putting it on top of my car. And I turned around and I seen somebody, like, full apparition. Like there was just some guy walking in the four corner left side in front of the light. Like, the street light shines into that window, and it broke the light pattern. Like, you can see him, like, literally walk past it, and it went, like, behind the doorway where it gets dark because it's abandoned building. And I turned to Clown and I was like, "Hey, we can go in there? Like, they have people in there?" And he turned and he looked at me. He was like, "No, it's locked. It's abandoned. Like, they don't allow people in there." I was like, "Are you sure? Because I just seen somebody in there, like a person." And they were like, "You may have, but there shouldn't be anybody living in there." And I was like, "Oh," because I was kind of excited. I was like, "Oh, well, he's in there. Like, we get to go in there." We didn't get to go in there. And he didn't show his face again. So I guess wherever it was like, "Oh, visitors. I'm going to the back of the building." And I happened to catch him. So before the cameras got set up. So yeah, tell me what y'all think. If you're a skeptic, that's even better. Give me some advice what you think it could be, because it's pretty creepy stuff.
you for saying that. Is the Ashers okay? Are the Ashers okay? You're welcome, Jar. Can you tell the Ashers that Jar has been asking? Titus wondering.
Yeah, my throat gets dry.
My God. That's why I brought a Coke.
I know, I should have.
But we're here at another part of Great Cemetery. This actually is a portal. We moved from where we was at because we was about to get attacked over there. And right there's a bad place. A real bad place. I'll have it on camera by the people saw a blue face over there right by us and watching us. Yeah. But we over here is a little bit calmer. Y'all keep your eyes open. Use headphones.
When I first came through this doorway, my head started getting the tingles. So we walked through, and you can feel the energy surging as you walk in this area.
We're gonna make a little walk. This here's a portal.
I'm getting
Want some more change?
hand trouble.
I'll give you some more change. You want some? Hey, you like candy? Huh? You do? That's good. That's out of sight. Yeah, I like candy too.
I think he really likes ice cream.
Do you like ice cream? Little boy, can you talk to us, please? Is your name Johnny? Is it Cowler?
Sound like Colin.
Kylan? Is your name Kylan? Yes.
They say this is haunted. I do feel a lot of energy in here. But, I mean, it's an old building. And, you know, old buildings tend to have built up resilient energies in them. So, we shall see. The doors are locked. You cannot go in.
It used to like every so many years, I guess. 1925.
They are pretty cool. This one's broke.
1923, 1934, and 1930. That's like 6, or 5, something like that. This is a dead end right here.
And then there's a church, back of a church right there.
It's pretty good. I don't even think they use that church anymore.
It said 12 a.m. What's the deal about 12 a.m.? What's the deal about 12:01?